So Jake, what differentiates Wenger Construction with other commercial roofing companies?
The fact that we care. And I'm not saying that our competition doesn't care, because a lot of them do, but we make that one of our core values, and it's part of our vision statement to be a positive, solution-driven company. And those aren't just words written on our wall over there. They actually mean something to us here, and we really try to prove that to our customers in every job that we go on.
And I can say, just from working with you and your leadership team over the last year, I can really see how values are very important to Wenger. Can you just share a little bit more about the Wenger values?
Sure. They mean a lot here. We hire and fire to them. We write our strategic planning around them. They're also not just words on a wall. They mean something here. And they actually, it's hungry, collaborative, elevate, and own it. And it actually spells out hungry CEO. We didn't mean for that to happen. It just organically happened. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, we were sitting in a room in the PCC with our group of leaders back in that time. It was a little different than it is now. But that group came up with those four, and we're kind of looking at them, and we're like, that spells hungry CEO. Like, that is the perfect, pseudonym for our core values. Not that we were shooting for that, but it is true. Like, everybody that works here, I say the same thing. Like, I don't care whether you're the CEO of the actual company like myself, or you're running the estimating team, or you're head of production. You all have a team that you manage, and I want you to be the CEO of that team and take ownership of it, make it your own. And that's kind of what makes us thrive internally here, as far as having people stay around for, I got people that stick around here for a long time, and that's our vision statement, a positive, solution-driven work environment. That's who we are. And in a world where price is kind of king right now, there's something to be said for the value that Wenger brings to the table. And it does revolve a lot around our vision statement and our core values. And I feel like if we could live those out to the fullest as an entire company, that makes us pretty strong and a pretty big force to be reckoned with within our industry. But 2013 was the year that really challenged me. Took some risks that were definitely more than I bit off a little bit more than we could chew. And we went after some work that was we weren't quite ready for. Some taller buildings, some challenges that we haven't gone through before, that we faced for the first time. And we made some bad decisions. We had some bad jobs, and some things didn't go our way, and we lost some money, and we were hanging on by our fingertips. And I can remember going into the bank and meeting with the bankers, and it wasn't just our banker, it was his bosses and, the big wigs. And he looked right at me and said, "I hope you're happy." And this is in front of my parents, and I'll never forget this day. And he said, "I hope you're happy. You just lost all your parents' savings," or whatever. It made me feel like shit in the moment, and I had a chip on my shoulder about that ever since. And I knew we weren't going to fail, but from the people outside looking in, they can't see my heart. They can't see the work ethic of the people that work here. All they can see is numbers and results. And yeah, those didn't look great, but it wasn't because of a lack of hard work. It wasn't because of a lack of commitment. It wasn't because we were taking shortcuts or being satisfied with where we were at. It was just because we made some bad decisions and took some risks, and, the world pushed back on us a little bit, and we had to learn and kind of move forward from there.
How did you know you weren't going to fail? So you said...
So I feel like I can work my way out of anything.
Okay, so what is that? How do you know that?
Just because I'm not afraid of hard work, and I'll work as long and hard as it takes to do anything. I don't know. Just literally went around to every single vendor over the course of 6 months and got them to work with us on what we owed them. And over the course of the next couple of years, we kept a really close eye on cash flow. And those are not fun years to go through at all. And I've lived them. So now that I'm where I'm at today, we've had some good years from then till now, and have become who we are. I guess what I learned most out of that is just how to measure my business, and how to get those measurements in front of me, how to get them to the point where I could trust them, and learning how to read them and how to react to them. And over the years, it's become more about trying to be proactive. And for a lot of years, we were very reactive to those numbers. And as we've matured as a business, it is becoming more about how do we avoid even ever getting to that point where that gauge right there on your dashboard is on the red. I can start to see it when it's on the yellow or even on the green.
What would be a piece of advice that you'd give to another business owner who might be in a tough situation?
Find somebody you can go to. Find somebody that can give you advice. Find somebody who's gone through what you've gone through. Find somebody who has succeeded and they have a formula and you can learn from that formula. And yes, being an entrepreneur and having your own business is about inventing a lot of things on your own, trial and error, and just having a gut feeling and plowing through it. But it's also about learning from people who have gone through it, so maybe you can save yourself from not having to go through some of those on your own.
So in terms of working with AG45, so myself and the team, what was the goal that you want to achieve at the end of a year?
I always want to be involved in everything. I want to fix everyone's problem. I have managed by micromanaging for many, many, many years, and it's been a terrible thing. It's been a good thing in some ways, but it's been a terrible thing as far as my ability to be able to pull away and have time to work on my business and not always in my business. So that was where AG45 came in. That's where you came in, as far as having somebody to help me pull away from that, to help me build a structure and a long-term plan to not feel so emboldened to the day-to-day needs of the business, to be able to put people in positions and trust them, hold them accountable, and have things in place, checks and balances, KPIs, whatever you want to call them. So I knew what everyone was up to and that they were delivering on the job that they were hired to do. And we're in the process of that. We've been working together for about a year, and it's going to take us a couple more years, but I feel like we've made a ton of progress already as to where we're at today and my ability to pull away from some of the day-to-day. But we're getting there, and I feel really good about where we're at. And we have made huge strides as far as getting my team to, it's not just about me trusting AG45 and the journey that we're on to get to where we're trying to go. My team has to trust what I'm up to and what we're working on together, because I can't get to where I want without them. And a lot of people that work for me that are in management roles, I'm a big believer in merit-based. I'm a big believer in promoting from within. You're going to talk to Lisa Stork, my COO, today. Her and a plethora of other people that are in management positions here started in the field and worked their way up to where they are today. So we all had to learn how to be better managers, better leaders. You know, we went from doing to now managing people who are doing. That's two totally different skills. And to just expect that somebody that was really, really good out there at putting siding and roofing on is now going to be able to come into a position and a role where they're going to be really, really good at managing the people that do that is definitely a misconception, and maybe one that I took a little bit too lightly at the beginning, as far as like, oh, well, I'll be fine at it. Here you go, take this job on. Yeah, so it's really about getting the team bought in to what we're doing and where we're trying to go. And I think it's been it's been fantastic so far, as just the buy-in and we've tried to do strategic planning in the past. And I'll say this about AG45 as well in our relationship and what it's done for our company. I mean, for the last couple of years before we started working together, we tried to do strategic planning. And I thought it always went really great, and we had great ideas, and it was very organic. And it didn't come from me, it came from other leaders within the company. But we all got really busy, and by February, they were pretty much like sitting off to the side and didn't get looked at again until December, when we started talking about it again. So there was a big trust gap between what we tried to do before and what you came on to help us do, that we had to close that gap to basically say, hey, everybody, all right, this is going to last this time. Like this time, it's May, you know, we're going into June here, and we're still sticking with it. And we still have people motivated and accountable to the strategic priorities that they wanted for their departments. And that's a huge step in the right direction. And it's giving my leadership team more autonomy, more ownership over their departments, and hopefully it gives them a little bit of excitement over the freedom that that gives them to build the team that they want to build within the core values, within the vision statement, within a few other parameters. But we're not going to get to that next level as a company by me dragging us there. I have to raise up the people that are around me, and we're all going to get us there together. I think AG 45, I don't think I get to where I want to go without working with your company. I know that for a fact. I would just continuously get sucked back into the day-to-day and the micromanagement style that I've had.
So in terms of, AG 45, we call it soul aligned strategy, because we don't just look at the business. We actually incorporate the strategy of the owner behind the business, and even in some businesses, the leaders. So from your experience, how important is it for a business owner to focus on that soul line strategy?
Business and the personal side sort of coming together as one. And for me, that was very important because in a business like ours, you sacrifice a lot. When the business isn't doing well, you don't get paid. Personal goals, wealth, aspirations are important to anybody. But when you're the CEO or the president of a company, those tend to take a back seat while you're in the thralls of growing your business, maintaining it. And is there ever that time when you're going to get that time back? And I feel like after 20 years, like it's time for me to get some of that time back. How do I get from where I am today to where I want to be personally? There's no way I could have made that happen on my own. I needed help. I needed somebody to come in and help guide me and help take time out of my day to actually spend time on working on a plan for this. That's probably the biggest difference, is it forces me to take time to think about what I want my future to look like. Without AG 45 and Wenger working together, there's no way that I would be able to figure out on my own how to separate from that. And I just feel like it would have been 10 more years and I'd still be wishing that I would take the time to figure out how to get out of this sort of day-to-day responsibilities and the needs that I have to keep the business going in the right direction, and then turn it into something where it's maybe a little bit more of the things that I want to do and the things that I feel like I've worked to try to get to that next phase of my life. I'd say the biggest difference in working with AG 45, and I've worked with some others similar, you're just there more. You're there more. I feel like when the other companies that I worked with, I was the one sort of driving the ship. Whereas working with you and AG 45, I feel like I'm a passenger on that ship and you're sort of driving it. Not my company, but just the strategic planning part and the soul aligned goals that we have between trying to mesh my personal goals with my business goals. And the other thing is, quite honestly, you have experience working in businesses. You have experience doing some of the things that I've done, going through some of the challenges that I've gone through. And I've worked with some business consultants that didn't have that experience, college degree and maybe a different job, but they didn't have that entrepreneurial type experience. So those are the main things, but I do think there's this personal touch that comes from working with AG 45, and you also bring my team into it, which is big. It's not just you and I working together, it's my leadership team that's working with you, and you've earned their trust, and AG 45 has earned their trust. And I think that's a very difficult thing to do with an outsider coming into a business and almost becoming like another employee, another leader within the company. And that's kind of how we look at you within our company and AG 45, and the role that you guys have here is another Wenger leader sitting at the C-suite table and talking about what our future is going to look like. And that's not to say that you necessarily bring the ideas to the table or have a say in it, but you definitely ask us questions that make us think about things in different ways and challenge us in ways that we probably wouldn't challenge ourselves. And that's, I think, what separates my other experiences from working with AG45 and yourself, is just that I do feel like you actually do care about our company. And you're not just doing it because, you know, you get my check every month, you know, and I really do feel that way. I'm not just saying that because there's a camera pointed at me. Like, I really do feel that way. Like, I have had a couple other companies I've worked with, and yes, were they friendly? Were they nice to work with? Sure, they were. But I just don't feel like they cared as much. Like, you'll literally schedule a meeting on a dime. If one of my employees, one of my leaders needs something, like, you're willing to jump on a Zoom call with them or come up here and visit them. And, you know, we're an hour apart. So, I mean, it's not just something where you can just walk across the street and you're here and how can I help? You know, it's kind of a big commitment to do those things. And you never, ever complain about or make excuses, or you're just always there for us no matter how we need you. And that's, again, I'm not saying that because the camera's on us. Like, that is legitimate stuff. And that's, quite honestly, that's how I want my customers to feel about me, is I'm going to be there for them whenever they need me, and I'm going to help lighten their load. And I feel like that's what AG45 does for Wenger. The other benefit of working with AG45 and working with you, Catherine, is just the connections that you've given me. Whether it's banking, marketing, just general connections that might help me develop more business. You've put me in touch with those people. We've had lunches, golf outings, things of those nature, and just very big on the connection side of the business and connecting with people that I never thought that I would connect with, just because I do roofing and siding. And why would I meet with this person because of that? Well, they know other people, and you know, you start to spread out this web of networking, and just very valuable. So I mean, that the connections piece is a huge piece, and now that we've worked together for a year and you've put me in front of some pretty good people, you're kind of the first person I call now when, like this last week, I needed some help. I'm like, hey, I need somebody that can do marketing. Like, I'm a little short, whatever. I'm not feeling good about where we're at with our marketing. How can you help me out? And within a couple of days, I was on a Zoom call with somebody that you had set me up with that we're entertaining working with. So it's just, those connections are people that I wouldn't have met without working with AG45, and they're people that you're willing to introduce us to, and you have a pretty broad network of people that you work with, and you go out of your way. And I will say this, we'll add this to it. You could just come and go to our meetings, but you never leave here without trying to give me some sort of value, whether that's introducing me to somebody new, even though sometimes I push back on you because I'm so damn busy. But you always try to get me a connection set up, or you give me a lead, or whatever. I mean, you work with a couple HVAC contractors, and hey, they put stuff through roofs. Why don't you talk to these guys? You know, so you see the worst side of me. Like, I'm able to open up to you in ways that I don't open up to anyone but my wife when it comes to my professional challenges. But you're always very professional about it. I always apologize to you because I tell you that, whatever, I dump on you. Like, these are my problems. Why is this happening to me? Why don't these people just do what they're supposed to do? And you're always there, and you're always an ear, and you're very good at listening, and you're always very good at asking the right questions. And for that, I'm very appreciative and thankful for the Wenger and AG45 relationship that we've had for a year. And I'm looking forward to the next couple of years working together for sure, and getting to our ultimate destination, which is going from good to great. And there's a lot of businesses out there that are good. We're good, but we're not great yet. So I could stop here. I could be satisfied with good. You know, there's only a few percentage of businesses out there that are willing to do the work, take the risk, and do what it takes to get to that next level of greatness. So that's what we're trying to do.